Hey, what's up, everybody? L Dreamer Harper here, successbizacademy.com. And wanted to share with you just for a second, if you feel like you're up to your eyeballs in overwhelm, and if you're up to your eyeballs in overwhelm and ideas and mental clutter, then I want to share this with you. So I was in a conversation with one of my students, and she was just at a place of complete overwhelm that just paralyzed her. She called me. She's like, "Look, I'm ready to quit. I'm ready to stop. I'm just so over this entrepreneurial thing, and I'm just exhausted. I'm tired. I got all these ideas, and I'm frustrated and confused. I'm not sure about what direction to go, and I just want to quit." And so I thought for just a second, I thought, wow, because I knew this was an unusual place for her to be. And so, I said, okay, let's hold up. And this was after I picked up my mouth off the floor, because again, this was very unusual for her in terms of wanting to just quit. Okay. But what I do know is this, is that there are a lot of times that we as entrepreneurs do want to quit. We get to a place sometimes where we're in complete overwhelm and exhaustion and just, paralyzed, because we just don't know what direction to go. There's a lot of information coming at us. There's a lot of ideas that we get all the time. And so it can cause us to really stop in our tracks. So I shared with her, I said, well, let me just give you 3 steps. And so I'm going to share this with you as well, the 3 steps that I gave her. And what I call this place of overwhelm is idea overwhelm syndrome, right? Because we have all of these ideas, but nothing has been implemented. And so our brain gets overloaded with all of this mental clutter, and it's just paralyzing. So the 3 steps that I was going to share with you, which are, again, the same that I shared with her, was that the first thing you want to do is you want to pause, right? You want to pause. And so that may sound like a very familiar thing, to do, but a lot of times it sounds very common, and it sounds like, okay, well, I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? But a lot of times we just keep pushing until there's something that forces us to pause, right? And so we don't want to get to that place where we're forced to pause or forced to shut down, where our brain and things just like, we're just at a place where, nothing is happening, and it's like everything just shuts down, physically, mentally, just emotionally, everything just kind of shuts down. So you don't want to get to that place. You want to get to the place where you are voluntarily pausing, okay? So I said, first, pause. And what this looks like for you may look different for me and looked different for her. But I shared with her, I said, so the first thing, let's just hit the reset button, and let's just figure out, what it is we need to do in order to get things going again, get things flowing again, right? So I said, because what the one thing that she was saying was that, I'm just ready to quit. And so I shared with her, I said, no, I said, quitting is not an option. Pausing is an option, right? Because when we pause, we can refresh, we can renew, we can regroup, right? And then we can, move forward, because now we have, more energy, we are in a place where we can kind of push through. But pausing is so important in the life of an entrepreneur, because you sometimes have to hit that reset button, right? And so what that may look like for you may look different for someone else. So one of the ways I like to pause is Sometimes I want to change environments, right? I work at home. So it's like, okay, you know what? I'm getting a little bit overwhelmed. I need to change my environment, and let me go and sit in a different environment and just not take, my laptop with me, just kind of sit and just kind of gather my thoughts, and, I can kind of reset that way. For others, some people need to go out of town or maybe go on vacation, or, if you can afford to do that, whatever the case may be. And others, sometimes, maybe going to, walk on the beach or something like that. There are different ways to take a pause, in your daily grind or your daily routine. And so I would recommend that for any of you that's in the place where you're really feeling like, I'm just getting complete overwhelm and I want to just quit. So again, I say to you, quitting is not an option, but pausing is an option. Okay. So the next thing you want to do is you want to purge. Now, the reason you want to purge is because the thing that's causing you to feel overwhelmed is because you have more coming in and not enough going out, right? So you're in complete overload. You're in mental overload, which is causing emotional overload, physical, So these things can cause you to really just want to stop in your tracks because you're confused, you're paralyzed, and it's like you don't know what direction to go. So in this process, what you want to do is you want to sit, like I said, pause, but what you want to do is you want to sit, gather your thoughts, right? Gather your ideas and create a system for processing those ideas, right? So in that process, you want to make sure that, number one, you create a system for capturing those ideas, you create a system for processing those ideas, and you create a system for deploying those ideas, right? Not every idea that you have is ready for deployment, right? Not every idea that you have is even ready for implementation. But every ideas that you receive, information that you receive, your brain is designed to process that. Think of it like a computer, right? When the computer gets overloaded, then things, the software and all that pieces get fragmented and things like that. That same thing happens to your brain. So you have all these scattered things, incomplete projects, because you stop, because you're not sure if this is the direction to go. And, all kinds of things start happening in the brain. Your brain wants to process this information for you. But if there's more coming in than there is going out, there's just not enough bandwidth, right? And so you just get to the place where there's just so much confusion and brain fog and mental clutter that you just feel paralyzed. So create a system for capturing, maybe that's a journal, maybe that's a spiral binder, maybe you use your phone. I like to use my phone to record ideas on the go, right? So, figure out a way that works for you. Figure out, a way to capture the information. Figure out a way to process the information. Figure out a way and a system, again, to capture, to process, to deploy and implement the things, the ideas that's coming at you all the time. But you have to purge, and you may want to do that, perhaps, I don't know. I mean, it depends on how much information is coming at you, because you have to find a way, again, to make sure that the information and the ideas and the concepts and everything that's coming in has a place to go. Otherwise, there's going to be that bottleneck, in your brain, so to speak. So definitely do that in that process, right? So the last thing, it's time to proceed, right? It's time to proceed. Now that you have paused, now that you have purged, you've gone through the process, you have a system in place to, process your information. You're not at that point where you are just overwhelmed. Now you can proceed. because in the previous step, you have a system now. So periodically, whether that's weekly or whether that's, quarterly, you're going through a place where you have assigned all of those ideas. And what I mean by that is you have a system where you can actually retrieve those ideas, because now you've documented the ideas, you've written them down, all that. Now you can proceed because now you have clarity, right? Because once you've gone through that process, that purging process, you can now move on. And these are the 3 ways that you can combat that idea overwhelm syndrome, right? And here's the thing, ideas are going to keep coming. They're not going to stop, right? We are motivated by things that we see. We get ideas from God. He gives you spiritual downloads. And so those ideas are always coming. You don't want those ideas to stop. But it is your responsibility to capture those ideas and deploy them in due time. There's a time and a season for everything, right? So now it is time to proceed, right? So I hope this has been very helpful to you. So remember to, when you feel that you are in complete overwhelm, remember to purge, pause, and then